Joining us to discuss more about this is the U.S. Agency for Global Media's acting CEO, Kari Lake. Kari, welcome to the program. It's good to have you.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you, Brandon.
Kari, it's felt like for the last 15 years, the left has been emboldened to cancel conservatives and ruin their lives over off-color jokes or transgressions against radical leftist ideology. What do you make of the wave of people being fired for celebrating Charlie Kirk's murder?
Well, I always have said it. We have freedom of speech in this country. People can say what they choose to say, but those words have actions. And, you know, when you're celebrating an assassination, a company may not want to associate with you anymore, especially if it's a company that is hoping to reach all kinds of sane people out there who would like to find enjoyment in comedy. People don't find that funny. And so, by the way, Colbert and all of these late night talk show hosts aren't funny anymore. I mean, they've gotten so angry political that they're not funny anymore. But this has been happening toward our side, toward the right, for a long time, but not even for saying anything incendiary. I mean, we saw the absolute effort that went into trying to get Joe Rogan fired and kicked off of Spotify, to get Dave Chappelle canceled and fired. They tried to cancel and fire Roseanne Barr. As a matter of fact, they did cancel her and they did fire her. So this has been going on for a long time. So hypocritical of the people who are, screaming about these late night talk show hosts when they say something as horrendous as celebrating or lying about an assassination. They think that there's no consequences.
Well, right, and ABC hasn't been the only left-wing media outlet that spread a blatantly false narrative about the political leanings of Charlie Kirk's assassin. Reuters called him a far-right gamer, and refused to issue a retraction when they were called out for lying. So does the Trump administration have plans to hold any other mainstream outlets accountable?
Well, everything that you've listed, you said ABC News, you said Reuters. I mean, these have been slanted, biased news operations. I don't even think you can use the word news. They've just been operations that have been going on. And I think, with Reuters, one of the things that news outlets can do, and we did it at U.S. Agency for Global Media, I immediately canceled their contracts. Not only is Reuters a biased operation with an agenda, I canceled the AP contract. I'm not going to have taxpayers spend tens of millions of dollars of their hard-earned money funding places like Reuters and the AP, so that then you get news agencies out there who do spend that kind of money, and then they just repeat the lies of Reuters and repeat the lies of the AP. That's not how you're supposed to do news. You're supposed to go out and work stories on your own and create a product, a news product that's reputable. And those aren't reputable products. So I hope that other news outlets will cancel those products, the Reuters and places like AP. We're seeing that NPR is losing funding from the government so that taxpayers don't have to fund that kind of thing. If you are successful out in the news world, if you have a good product, you should be able to survive without getting the government funding you so that you can keep your survival afloat.
Well, now, and of course, the left is wasting no time trying to use this opportunity to label President Trump a tyrant, authoritarian. We have California Governor Gavin Newsom accusing the president of buying and controlling media platforms, firing commentators and canceling shows. How do you respond to that and other left-wing claims that the Trump administration is being anti-free speech?
Well, it's just not true. I mean, President Trump didn't fire Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel has no talent. He's not funny. And he got himself fired. So I don't know why you're blaming President Trump, or why, not you, but why they're blaming President Trump. They're always going to find a way to turn everything against President Trump. But one thing I noticed today, Brandon, is when the president and our lovely, wonderful, intelligent First Lady were in the UK visiting London, the love that was being poured out. People were pouring out to just get a glimpse of them. People love President Trump. People who know President Trump adore him. Anything that's been said bad about him has just been a lie and a creation of the fake news. And it's about time they're called out. And I'm actually thinking it's quite humorous that ABC, which folks on the right who love our country, who are pro-America, we dumped ABC a long time ago. We thought it was garbage. And now what we're seeing is the left dumping ABC because of their firing of Jimmy Kimmel. So we may see some of these media outlets crater on their own. They've been lying to the masses for decades, and especially over the last decade, they've been lying. And they have been telling the public abject lies and misleading lies and actually hurting our country. So I think it's about time. Karma's catching up.
Well, Kari, I was going to ask you if you think Jimmy Kimmel is funny, but I think that you've pretty much already covered that topic. I don't know, maybe it's time for, a charming, cute conservative to have a TV show like, I don't know, maybe Brandon Strauch. Maybe Brandon Strauch should fill in Jimmy Kimmel's slot. Just a suggestion.
I was just going to say, Brandon, there's a job opening. And you are funny. You would be great. I think a lot of people would be great. I know Roseanne Barr threw her hat in the ring. She said, hey, what about me? Maybe I could take that position. And I know that she would have a huge following. There's so many funny people, truly funny people who are more, I guess they would fall on the right. I like to not separate us by Democrat, Republican and say, we're pro-America. We love our country. We love the people of this country. And then we have a subsection that's very angry and in many cases hateful, and they've become anti-American. And I think some of them have just fallen victim to the brainwashing that has been inflicted upon us by the mainstream media. And so we want someone who's pro-America, who loves our country and loves the people of this country.
Well, I agree with you, and I think if it were, even if it was somebody who is more aligned on the right, like you were saying, Roseanne or someone else, I still think that they would be capable of doing a comedy program that appeals to everybody across the political aisle without it being an ideological political show, which is what I think Americans really want right now. So final question for you, Kari. How do you think Kimmel's firing will affect the political commentary genre of media in general?
Well, anybody out there who's doing commentary and maybe is somebody who doesn't really care for the MAGA movement, I really highly suggest not celebrating or lying about an assassination. It's about the lowest form of interaction that you could ever imagine. And no one likes that. No sane individual likes that. So, but sadly, if you have to give advice like that to somebody, if they need advice like that, they might be too far gone. I would suggest getting back to good old-fashioned comedy, good old-fashioned something that makes people laugh, no matter what their political ideology is. And we've lost that over the years. I think comedy has really taken a hit when it comes to just being able to find good humor out there, and frankly, a lot of the PC push toward things like DEI and CRT and overly sensitive about just everything has hurt comedy as well. So hopefully we can get back to that sometime soon.